Hello, this is Mad Cat, the angry egalitarian that discusses this and that. And for some reason, I'm discussing politics. I hate discussing the political arena because it's full of crooks and criminals and sycophants. But we've never had one so important as this one. Trump being president has done quite a lot for both the good and the bad. And today we look at his first day in office, where he signs a gag, as they call it, against providing money to support groups in Mexico for abortions. Now, of course, the feminists and pro-choice individuals, not individuals, but the groups, are like, oh my God, he hates women. This is just proof he hates women. No, this is not proof that he hates women. I mean, first off, he's not signing a bill to make it illegal to have an abortion in Mexico. He's signing a bill saying we shouldn't use tax money to try to have abortions in Mexico. Let Mexico deal with their own thing, you know? And the second thing is that we still have abortions here in this country. That hasn't gone away. Now, Trump has stated that he would support any measure that would take away money from groups for abortions. And that's a little concerning. I'll admit it. I am pro-abortion. And that's controversial for me to say. And the thing with abortion that I hate and why I don't talk about it too much is that it quickly becomes a discussion of emotions. People have difficulty keeping emotions out of it and looking at just the logistics. One camp will say, well, if you're against abortion, the camp will say, well, you just hate women. No, being pro-life doesn't mean you hate women. It means that you protect the unborn child. Whereas if you are pro-abortion, then the argument becomes you just want to kill babies. These are two emotional responses to the discussion of abortion. And once that becomes part of the conversation, I'm like, I want no part of it. I want to be able to talk about this subject with as little of emotion as possible. Now, we are talking about the life of a fetus, and that does spark people to become emotional. My viewpoint when it comes to abortion is that, one, it's legal in the United States. It's been legal for 44 years. I know that because the article I read on this Trump thing made mention that it's the 1 day anniversary, it's the 1 day off from the 44th anniversary of Roe versus Wade. And it's like, that's an odd fact to put in there, but why not? So 44 years, this has been legal, okay? Like it or hate it, you have to respect that it is a law. Something that Texas is incapable of doing. And this is one of the few times where I think feminists are right that, Texas has done everything they can to try to abolish abortion without actually abolishing it. They've made it that much harder to do. Now, the thing with abortion, though, is that you look at places like Canada, where parts of Canada, if not all of Canada, has free abortions. That a woman can walk in and get an abortion, no questions asked. She could be 12 years old and walk in and get an abortion. And bam, it's done. Maybe not 12 years old, but certainly under the age of 18. It's done. No big thing. And, as a friend of mine who grew up in that kind of world said that girls considered it a badge of honor, like a merit badge. Hey, I just got my first abortion. You know, I just got my fifth abortion and they gave me a free sub sandwich. You know, click off 5 and bam, you get a free sandwich. So that's not the kind of world I want. I think that a lot more responsibility needs to be put onto the woman. And first and foremost is that we need to stop having government subsidies into this. Now, understandably, not all women could afford an abortion without the help of the government. But if we cut off funding, if someone gets an abortion, it should come out of their own pocket. Now, maybe there are organizations that raise money, fine. If individual people want to give money to a system for abortion, that's up to them. I don't want to take that away from them. But this shouldn't be taxpayer money. We shouldn't be wasting taxpayer money on someone's, misinformed decision. But as I said in a Twitter post, that why should we pay for abortion somewhere else? Why should we pay for women's reproductive rights in another country when men are still lacking reproduction rights in this country? And cutting off that kind of money, and I tweeted this to Donald Trump. I doubt he'll read it. I doubt anyone will give a shit because I'm just a small piece of the puzzle, very small. But we should take that money that we've just saved from giving it to Mexico and put it into programs that can help men. Oh, that must mean I really hate women. If I want to take money from another country and put it to help men for male genital mutilation and for financial abortion rights. But I think that's what we should do with it. I'm not against abortion as a whole. And the reason why is that when a woman gets pregnant, the problem that we have in this world, and especially in this country, is that people are not barely able to care for themselves, much less a child. And as bad as it is that abortion is the canceling out of a life before it has a chance to actually become life, I mean, what's the alternative? I mean, it seems that we're all concerned about a child actually being born, but we seem less concerned about a child being raised in this world today. And that more often than not, denying a woman abortion allows the child to become another statistic, likely a crime statistic. That child will most likely grow up in a fatherless home, most likely grow up in a system that doesn't really care about them and gives them the bare minimum, because we can't afford to help the child out in any other ways. Some comments coming my way. What about men who are begging a woman to abort because the pregnancy was a mistake? And that goes to financial abortion. And you're perfectly right, Immortal. I mean, if women are allowed to abort a child whenever they want without anyone else, then a man should be able to abort financially from caring for a child. To me, it's the same thing. And this is a very important issue. And this is why I'm kind of glad Trump is starting to shake things up a bit. Because here's what's going to happen, is that Trump is going to start cutting funding away from abortion, which I think is a good thing. This is an individual's responsibility. Now, things like happening in Texas, trying to abolish it, that needs to be repealed. Someone needs to get in there and tell Texas you can't be doing that shit. But we need to take away government subsidies from abortion. What's going to happen is that the programs that are currently out there working with these things with the loss of money is going to have to start cutting back and start being more proactive on education, which is what's needed in this case. You know, going out there and educating children that, hey, if you're going to do it, wear a fucking condom. That's what needs to happen. We need to educate people. But if someone wants an abortion, they have to pay for it themselves. What I'm hoping this eventually leads to is we start giving men reproductive rights, that if they want out of a financial situation such as a child, they can. But that can only come about as long as abortion is still legal. Now, if abortion suddenly became illegal, then no, this could not happen. But so long as women have the right to abort a child whenever they want, men should also have that same right. And when that happens, the government, you know, the state that will create, like if a woman signs up for some sort of benefits, state-funded benefits, which I'm not against because technically I just got on food stamps, but then I'm unable to work. So I'm actually someone who needs it, not someone who's trying to cheat the system. And it took me over a year living in Philadelphia before I finally signed up for it. So, I mean, judge as you will. But when women start signing up for this, they start going after men because the state doesn't want to pay for it. They want to hold on to as much money as they can. I don't blame them. But if men are able to sign out and say, hey, I didn't want to be a part of this child. I didn't want this child at all. I'm not financially responsible. The state will then be forced to start educating. They're going to start cracking down on this and start punishing women for making stupid mistakes. Again, I'm not against financial support from the state, but the state needs to be more responsible for it and stop going after men. I mean, there was a case in Arizona where a boy was raped. A 13-year-old boy was raped by his female teacher. And she ended up getting pregnant. And by the time he turned 21, actually, I think it was when he turned 18, the state came after him and said, you owe 5 years of back child support for this baby. He was raped at 13, and yet the moment he becomes an adult, he's already in debt for something he couldn't do, something he couldn't control, because the state doesn't want to pay for this. Well, if the state wants these people to have money, then the state needs to be responsible. And if they still don't want them to have their money, then they need to make better decisions on how they spend it. Hello to you, Tony, and Lamont Dufresne. I like the name Dufresne. I don't know why. Probably because it was a character in Red vs. Blue and The Shawshank Redemption. So that's my view on this. In a purely logical format on the discussion of abortion, it is necessary for our society as it becomes more and more complex, and as we still have the fluctuation of money. We don't even have a lot of jobs here in America, so people aren't able to really care for themselves, which I hope changes under President Trump. But either we abort a fetus or let them grow up to be criminals. And that's usually the choices, that the options there are for a child. Now, we could give them up for adoption. That is one option, but more often than not, those in the adoption system grow up to become criminals, grow up to be abused. So it's either the immediate death when they're not even technically a life form, or the slow death of living in a broken system. So for me, I think abortion is necessary, but it shouldn't be funded by the state. And this move to take money away from Mexico so they can get abortions should be better spent making sure that men can financially abort themselves out of a pregnancy that they don't want to be a part of, forcing women to make better decisions when they decide if they want a condom or not, and forcing the state to make better decisions on education since they don't want to foot the bill to begin with. And let's also put some money towards male genital mutilation. Let us stop this practice, this barbaric practice. And I consider that a part of male reproductive rights, genital integrity. Yeah. So that is my viewpoint. Now, I'm sure you're all going to disagree with me. Post it down below. But I ask you, leave the emotions out. If you start with this whole, oh, well, you know, you just want to murder babies, or you want to have the argument of, oh, well, you just hate women. You put emotion into this, I'm going to ignore you. Simple as that. I understand the emotion that comes with this, but I'm not interested in discussing the emotion, because once you put emotion into a serious discussion like that, there is no conversation. That's why I got out of creationism debates and went into men's rights. Because once you put emotion in there, once you put your beliefs and your faiths into the conversation, there is no conversation. There's just someone who keeps repeating the same thing over and over again. So feel free to disagree with me. Give me some logic down below. And if you want to put the emotion, go ahead, but I'm not going to respond. So Tony is saying something. Teacher's baby wasn't a miscarriage. I think he means a miscarriage of justice, on the other hand. Was not so fortunate. I don't really understand what he's trying to say there. But anyways, that's going to do it for me. Trump is shaking things up, and he saved taxpayer money to be used in a better way. Although, to put this out there, this was originally started by Reagan, where he, said, no, we're not going to give money to Mexico for their abortions. And then Clinton said, yes, we are. Then the second Bush says, no, we're not. And then Obama's like, no, we are. And now Trump's like, no, we're not. So, if you're really worried about this issue, just wait until the next Democrat comes to office and it'll be restored. And you got another election in 4 years. If you really want a Democrat, well, first off, stop telling people that they're racist, sexist, homophobic for their voting choices. It's easier to attract bees with honey than vinegar. Or is it sugar than vinegar? I'm not really sure. Just stop attacking potential voters. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. We need to watch. Hello, Ohio Dan. Good to see you. Sorry that this is ending. Anyways, that's going to do it for me. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please hit the subscribe button below. Like this video if you like it, or downvote it because I said something to upset you. Either way, I like getting those up and down little things. And share this video out with everyone. It's going to do it for me. This is Mad Cat signing out.